Your stop gets tagged by a single wicked candle, and the very next candle rips the other way, like the market waited for you to get knocked out before it started paying. It's 8:08 a.m. New York time. Gold futures on a 2-minute chart. You're in a clean trade. Pull back into a level you mapped pre-market. Risk is defined. Size is normal. Stop is tucked just under the swing that has to hold for your idea to be true. Then it happens. Price dips. Not a real sell-off. Just a thin needle stab through your stop. You're out. The platform prints the fill and your P&L flashes the red you can feel in your teeth. And immediately, gold snaps back above the level, climbs and keeps climbing like nothing happened. You're watching your idea work perfectly, except you're not in it. And the most dangerous part is what your brain says next. See, my stop was stupid. Or worse, they hunted me. Or worst of all, I have to get back in right now or I'll miss it again. In this video, I'm going to show you why this keeps happening, why your stop gets hit and price reverses without you again, what's actually going on in that candle, and the re-entry protocol that stops this from turning into tilt, overtrading, and a blown day. And near the end, I'll give you the one distinction that changes everything, the difference between a stop that protects you and a stop that exposes you. Because this isn't just bad luck, it's a predictable trap in the way most traders think about stops. Most traders lose money. Trading is difficult. This is education, not financial advice. Past patterns don't guarantee future results. Risk management is survival. Here's the pattern you don't see while you're living it. A stop loss is not a line where the market shouldn't go. A stop loss is an order, and orders are liquidity. When your stop sits in the most obvious place, right under the swing low, right under the round number, right under the exact level, everyone sees you're not placing a magical safety net. You're placing a sign that says, if price touches here, I will become a market seller. And markets, especially around liquid levels, love liquidity, not because there's a villain at a desk plotting against you, because that's how auctions function. Price moves into pockets where orders live. It grabs what it needs to transact, and then it moves away once that business is done. That wick that took you out is often just the market completing a transaction, not the market making a statement about your idea. But your nervous system doesn't experience it as a transaction. It experiences it as betrayal. Your brain doesn't go, liquidity event. Your brain goes, I was right and still got punished. And that triggers a brutal cocktail. Loss aversion. The pain of being wrong feels bigger than the joy of being right. Hindsight bias. I knew it would reverse. And outcome bias. Judging your decision by what happened after you got stopped out. So even if your stop placement was logical, your brain rewrites history. The right move was to do the opposite. And now you're one step away from the behaviour that actually destroys accounts. You stop trusting your process. You start moving stops wider, so it can breathe. You start removing stops just for a second. You start re-entering instantly with bigger size to make it back. And now the stop out wasn't the real loss. The real loss was the moment you handed control to the part of you that can't tolerate being wrong in public. And here's where it gets worse. Because the market will keep doing this. Not once. Not twice. Forever. There will always be wicks. There will always be flushes. There will always be moments where the cleanest reversal begins right after your exit. So if your emotional stability depends on the market respecting my stop, you are building your psychology on a condition the market will never promise you. That's the core issue. You're not just using stops to control risk, you're using stops to demand certainty. And stops were never designed to give you certainty. They were designed to keep you alive. Let me show you the real cost of not fixing this. You get stopped out, price reverses. You re-enter late because now you're chasing your own idea. To avoid missing it again, you enter at a worse price with the same stop distance. So your risk is larger, but you don't feel like it's larger. You feel like you're getting back to neutral. Then price pulls back, normal pullback, and your body interprets it as the beginning of another humiliation. So you cut early. Now you've taken 2 losses on a trade that would have been a winner if you had a plan for what happens after a stop out. And then you do the final move. You start hunting a new setup to prove you're still good. That's how a stop out becomes a red day. Not because your setup is bad, because your stop out becomes a story about you. So how do you break it? You don't break it by having more discipline. You break it by upgrading your stop from a single line into a system. I'm going to give you a 4-part framework. It's simple. It's mechanical. And it works because it accounts for the one thing most traders ignore. A stop is a decision, not a location. Here's the framework. Okay, first, decide what your stop is supposed to mean. Second, place it where it won't get you emotionally kidnapped. Third, create a re-entry rule that protects you from revenge. Fourth, install an after-stop routine that keeps you out of the prove-it spiral. Let's start with the first one. Most traders mix up 2 types of stops. There's an invalidation stop, and there's a noise stop. An invalidation stop says, if price reaches here, my idea is wrong. A noise stop says, if price reaches here, my nerves can't handle it. The tragedy is when you think you're placing invalidation, but you're actually placing noise. You tuck it right under the nearest low because it feels reasonable, but it's not the place your idea dies. It's just the place your fear wants a short leash. So ask this question before every trade. What price level would force me to admit the trade thesis is broken? Not what level is convenient. Not what level is tight. The level that kills the story. If you can't answer that, you don't have a thesis. You have a hope. And hope is the most expensive indicator on your chart. Now the second part, placement. Once you have invalidation, you still have a problem. Markets don't move like textbooks. So you need to stop placing stops where everyone else is placing them for the same reason. If your stop is at the obvious swing, and your invalidation is slightly beyond that, you have 2 options. Either accept that you're trading in the noise zone, or place your stop beyond the zone where the market typically does its liquidity sweep behavior. This is where traders get defensive and say, so you're telling me to use huge stops? No, I'm telling you to stop pretending a tiny stop can hold a big idea. If your invalidation is wider than you want, that's not a stop problem. That's a position sizing problem. Professional traders don't solve big stops by moving them tighter. They solve big stops by sizing down so the risk stays sane. Because the stop's job is to define risk honestly, not to protect your ego. Now part 3 is the one that fixes the exact pain you clicked for. Your stop gets hit, price reverses, and you're left on the outside. You need a re-entry protocol. Not a vibe, not a maybe I'll get back in. A protocol. Here it is. If you are stopped out and price immediately reclaims your level, you do nothing for a set window. Your job is to avoid the panic re-entry. On POSIC, pick one of these windows based on your time frame. If you trade fast charts, wait 3 candles. If you trade slower charts, wait 1 full structure decision, like a retest and hold. During that wait, you ask 2 questions. Did price reclaim the level with strength, or did it just bounce? Do I have a new invalidation that makes sense from here? Because here's the trap. The moment you get stopped out, your brain wants to re-enter, to erase pain, not to execute edge. That urge is not analysis, that urge is relief-seeking. So the wait rule is not about being slow, it's about letting your prefrontal cortex take the steering wheel back from the threat response. Now, after the wait, you only re-enter if one of these is true. A. Price reclaims and holds above the level, and then gives you a clean retest with acceptance. Or B. Price breaks the opposite side of the wick that stopped you out, confirming the sweep failed, and momentum is now in your favour. If neither happens, you do not force it. Because the market does not owe you the same trade twice. And here's the part most people miss. When you re-enter, you treat it as a brand new trade. New entry, new stop, new risk. No I'm owed math. If you're trying to get back what you lost, you're not trading. You're settling a score. Now part 4, the after-stop routine. This is the psychological difference between a trader who survives and a trader who spirals. Right after a stop out, you do a 30-second reset. Not motivational quotes, not deep therapy. A simple routine that breaks the emotional chain. Here's a clean one. Step 1. Label it out loud. That was a stopped out trade, not I got hunted, not I'm cursed. A neutral label. Step 2. Write one sentence. Stop out reason. Noise and kiddy. Invalidation. Come on, I say. Execution. If you don't know which, write unclear, and that's your note to review later. Step 3. Set a hard constraint. No new trade for 5 minutes unless a pre-planned setup triggers. That 5-minute buffer is everything. Because your brain right after a stop out is in story mode. It wants meaning. It wants blame. It wants an immediate win to restore identity. But trading right there is like arguing with someone while your heart is racing. You're not choosing words, you're reacting. That's why the best traders treat a stop out like a pit stop, not a courtroom. They don't debate it in real time. They contain it. And I want you to notice something. None of what I gave you is be more confident. It's process. Because confidence in trading is not a feeling. It's a byproduct of repeatedly behaving like a professional, even when it hurts. Now let's talk about the most common objection, because I know you're thinking it. What if I follow this and I still miss the reversal? Good, that's the point. Missing a reversal is not a moral failure. It's a cost of having rules. You're paying a small fee, sometimes you miss the move, to avoid paying the massive fee, turning your trading into emotional improvisation. This is where the real probability mindset comes in. Over a series of trades, your goal's not to catch every move. Your goal is to execute your edge cleanly, control risk, and keep your decision-making intact. You can't control whether the market wicks you by 2 ticks. You can control whether you respond by tilting, chasing, and doubling down. That's the trade. And if you want to get even more practical, here's a simple stop audit you can do after the session. Take your last 20 stop outs. For each one, put it into one of 3 buckets. Good stop. Idea invalidated. Loss was correct. Bad stop. Stop was placed in noise. Idea would have worked. Bad trade. Entry was poor. Stop placement doesn't matter. Most traders never do this, which means they keep rewriting the same mistake with different candles. And you'll notice something fast. If you have a lot of bad stops, you don't need a new strategy. You need better stop logic and better sizing. If you have a lot of bad trades, your entries and context are the problem. If most are good stops, then congratulations, you're doing your job. Your pain is coming from attachment, not incompetence. That's the emotional upgrade to respect a good stop out. A good stop out means I followed my rules and protected my account. It doesn't mean I failed. Now let's go back to that gold trade. In the old version of you, the wick hits your stop and you feel that surge of heat. You slam back in, you chase the candle. You tighten the stop because you're scared of being embarrassed twice. And then you get clipped again and spend the next hour trying to get even. In the new version, the stop hits and you run the protocol. Label it. Write the one sentence. Wait your window. You watch price reclaim the level. You don't flinch. You let it retest. If it holds, you re-enter with a new invalidation and proper size. If it doesn't, you let it go. And here's the strange thing that happens when you live like this for long enough. Stops stop hurting as much. Not because you don't care, but because you no longer interpret them as personal. They're just exits. They're just part of the distribution. That's what separates traders who last from traders who burn out. The market will always have wicks. It will always have reversals that start without you. It will always have moments that feel unfair. The question is whether you're going to let those moments rewrite your behaviour. If you build your stop as a system, meaning placement, re-entry, and after-stop routine, then even when you get tagged and it reverses without you, you don't spiral, you don't chase, you don't start trading to heal your pride. You stay intact, and staying intact is what keeps you in the game long enough for your edge to actually matter. Most traders lose money because they don't blow up on one big mistake. They bleed out from 100 tiny emotional decisions after unfair moments. So the next time your stop gets hit and price reverses without you, don't ask, why does this always happen to me? Ask the better question, do I have a protocol for what happens next? And if you don't, now you do. Because the goal isn't to never get wicked out. The goal is to never let a wick turn you into someone who can't trade.